Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an Ice Fiend Warlock build guide in Baldur's Gate 3. So the Warlock itself is mostly aligned with fire, but you can make them an ice aligned fighter. And this is pretty powerful because the damage can be doubled, and I'll be showing you how to make this build as strong as possible. As for our cantrips, we can go obviously with the Eldritch Blast. That's the #1 choice that we want to have. Mage Hand or Minor Illusion are two other great choices, because with Mage Hand you can throw water bottles to set up your ice attacks, and Minor Illusion's nice because you can pull people together. So we're going to go with that there. Fiend for the multi-class. This gives us Armor of Agathis, giving us a nice cold damage option. This applies temporary health and hits enemies for 5 cold damage when they attack us. I also like to go with Hex. Hex is nice because it can boost up your Eldritch Blast. This is a bonus action. Command is also a really nice spell to go with too, because you can command a target to come closer, move away, fall on the ground. Command is just a really great spell in general. But I'm going to go with Hex and Armor of Agathis for the purposes of this. Now for our ability score, Charisma is our main spellcasting stat, so we want that to be as high as possible. Our Wisdom is also kind of important, as we can add in the Cleric to get Create Water to make double the damage. However, I wouldn't recommend adding in the Cleric till later on, but I'll be going over all of that in this video. You want to have, typically one of your stats is going to be a dump stat when it comes to this, so obviously Intelligence and Strength, not super important. Dexterity is going to be good because this gives us Armor class as well as the ability to get a higher initiative. Constitution is important too, but I would take Dexterity up to 16, 14 Constitution, 16 Charisma, 12 Wisdom for our ability scores. At the end of this video, I'll be going over the gear that we want to be using, but yeah, I'll be talking about the leveling guide here. So at level 2, we get to choose another spell slot. Hellish Rebuke is nice, it's fire, but it's a reaction, and being able to weaponize your reaction is pretty useful. However, this does use a Warlock spell slot, so you want to be somewhat mindful of that. Command can be good too, but Hellish Rebuke's not. One of these two works well, so I'm actually going to go Command here. For the Eldritch Invocations, we want Agonizing Blast and Repelling Blast. This is going to give us our Charisma modifier to the damage of our Eldritch Blast, making it a great choice for just overall damage. And then Repelling Blast can knock creatures up to 4.5 meters away. If you don't want to use Eldritch Blast too much, Devil's Sight will give you the ability to see in darkness, both magical and non-magical. So very useful, the only way you can see in magical darkness. At level 3, we get to choose our pact boon, but we also get to pick a spell here. And Misty Step is nice, but we don't have many Warlock spell slots, so not something I overly want to use too much. Darkness is nice, but it doesn't get any benefit above level 2. Hold Person's a great choice though, so we're going to go with that. And we're going to go with Pact of the Blade, because this will allow us to bind our attack and use our Charisma to attack with it, so we can get a big boost to our damage, and we get the ability to attack twice. And I'll be showing you how to make this build really powerful with all that combined. So at level 4, we get to choose another cantrip, Bone Chill, or Mage Hand. For spells, we're going to go with Misty Step. Can be okay for like a panic, get out of jail free card type deal. Scorching Ray will scale with the damage, so while this is all about ice, and mostly supposed to be about ice, we can take Scorching Ray for the damage it'll deal. And then for our feat, taking our Charisma up is kind of the ideal choice, but you can also go with Spell Sniper and then take Ray of Frost. That will give you the ability to critical hit on a 19 whenever we do our spell attacks, so it can be really good for just overall damage output. So that is an option, but I like to take the Charisma up. But just be mindful, you can take the Ray of Frost there if you want an extra damage option. We get ourselves a Deep Impact at level 5, so we get 2 attacks now, meaning we're going to be dealing a lot more damage. And we're going to take Hunger of Vidar, because this is the only cold spell that we can get. And Hunger of Vidar is really nice, because it will blind targets, deal cold damage, and deal acid damage. Some people really like Fireball, but we're going to go with the Hunger of Vidar. For the Eldritch Invocation, Devil's Sight, super useful. Highly recommend that. Some people really like the other spells, but they're not, I wouldn't say, very useful in comparison. So, yeah. At level 6, we get the Dark One's Own Luck. We can add a 1d10 to an ability check. Quite a nice. Again, Fireball's an option, but this is ice-focused. We're still going to take it because the Fiend is exclusive to the Fiend Warlock, and it scales as our spell slots increase. So, that's not too bad. At next level, we can get Fire Shield, which deals cold damage to attackers, so that can be pretty decent whenever we have melee attackers, since we're going to be up in close range. Wall of Fire is another option some people like to take. I'm not fanatical about it, so we're going to take Fire Shield there. And then for our Eldritch Invocation, We can go with the Book of Ancient Secrets. This gives us the ability to cast these spells per long rest. Ray of Sickness is okay. Possibly poisons the target, though, which will give them disadvantage on attack rolls, which is really nice. Chromatic Orb can be changed to an Ice Orb, which is cool, too. Some of these are not that great. Like, I don't know if I'd want to be spending my Warlock spell slots of Confusion. Despite being a decent spell, I also think that Beguiling Influence to give ourselves skill, proficiency, and Deception and Persuasion is the way to go there. That just helps outside of combat. And as for level 8, you can take Wall of Fire or Counterspell, but you typically won't use Counterspell too often, but it's nice to have when it saves. Yeah, so we're going to go with that there. You can also, again, take the Spell Sniper and take Ray of Frost if you want to go that route. But for this, I'm going to go with the Ability Improvement and take our Charisma up, because this just adds damage to our Eldritch Blast. Ideally, we want to freeze targets and then also attack them with our Force damage that will be doubled. And now we get ourselves Cone of Cold. This is our big damage spell. So up to 68 damage, doubled in Create Water to 128. So it does take a little bit of time before this build comes online, but the level 9 spell that we get here is extremely useful. So Cone of Cold, big damage. Eldritch Invocation. I really like Minions of Chaos because Conjure Elemental is super useful. Enhanced Sleep without a spell slot's kind of nice, being able to jump really, really far. Whispers the Grave is okay, because you can get that for free without using a spell slot. But Minions of Chaos, Water Elementals can set up our cold damage, so it just makes sense for the purposes of this. And then at level 10, we get ourselves the Fiendish Resilience. You can choose a damage type, you can resistant to it, and you can pick a new type per short rest. For our spell, Bone Chill, Chill, Cold, Ice. It works. Flame Strike is another spell that some people really like to take. Hold Monster can be a game changer, so I'm going to go with Hold Monster, although you can take Flame Strike if you want. What's nice about Hold Monster is you can paralyze someone in 3 meters and attack them, and you'll have critical hits on your attacks. And we'll have the ability to get 3 attacks, which I'll show you. So here's where we get another power spike. So we get an additional Warlock spell slot, so we get 3 of them. Nice. And then we get the Mystic Arcanum. So once per long rest, we can cast this without using a spell slot. Now, there's choices you can make. Flesh of Stone, a trophy at target, restraining them until they temporarily turn to stone. Eye Bite I really like. Inflicts dread, sickness, or puts creatures asleep for 10 turns. Requires concentration, but it's a guarantee. Really nice. Circle of Death being the only damage spell here. Does 8d6 and necrotic damage. Not a bad spell overall. And then Create Undead, which I like. This is my personal choice. Create Undead's nice. Just get an extra body alongside your Elemental to tank hits for you. So you can go with Create Elemental. I'm going to go Circle of Death just for the damage. But Eye Bite, Create Undead, or Circle of Death. One of those is a good choice. And then we get to choose another spell slot here. You don't get level 6 spells. We just are stuck with this. But we get an extra one. So I'll take Flame Strike there. There's other options you could go with, but for our final level, we can continue this way, take another spell there, and get Life Drinker. So your melee attacks deal additional necrotic damage equal to your charisma modifier. There's a lot of things that resist necrotic damage late in the game, so sometimes Life Drinker isn't the best choice. And I actually think that it's best to add in the cleric, in particular the War Domain, because this will give us 3 bonus action attacks, so we can attack 3 times with this. We're going to take those for our cantrips. And prepared spells, Create Water, that just works with our cold damage so well. And then Healing Word gives us a bonus action. If a teammate goes down, we can pick them back up with that. So we're going to go with that. We don't get many spell slots, we only get 2 of them. So you can do 1 Create Water and 1 Healing Word to pick up an ally per turn. Now, getting into the gear, this is where it gets cool. Early in the game, Morning Frost is nice because it gives you the ability to cast Ray of Frost there. So it gives us a free cantrip, giving us the ability to actually do a cold damage build. But be mindful that it's not super high in its damage, so that is one thing to consider. It's not super powerful, but it does hit. So typically what we want to be doing for gear, a Wave Mother's Robe is nice in Act 3 because this gives us Create or Destroy Water. With this setup, we have 20 armor class. However, we can wear heavy armor from the cleric, so whenever you add in the cleric, you get the heavy armor proficiency. So I like to use a light blue dye whenever I'm rolling one of these because it just looks thematically right. Heavy armor, highly recommend it. Cloak of Protection, Boots of Protection, and Ring of Protection, or Evasive Shoes, I guess, for +1 armor class, giving us a 26 armor class. Quite nice. I also like, you can dump your dexterity and go with gloves of dexterity. It's a choice. Also, Hell Dust Gloves gives us, this does fire damage, so it, not perfect for this build, but it gives us the +1 to spell attack rolls and spell save DC, which is really useful to have. You can alternatively go with the Cloak or Hood of the Weave to give +2 to spell attack rolls and spell save DC. We went this route to get ourselves a 22 Charisma, which will add damage to our Eldritch Blast, so +6 from Agonizing Blast, not too shabby. You can swap out some of these items. So Band of the Mystic Scoundrel allows us to attack and then cast Command as a bonus action, so that's nice. Because we can attack twice and then go with our command Grovel. And then if you go level 5, you can actually do this on like 6 targets. So Band of the Mystic Scoundrel is pretty useful. However, the Morning Frost does start to lose its potency a little bit later in the game. If you use Strength Potions, you can go with the Flail. Or I guess you don't even have to use Strength Potions because we have the ability to bind our pact weapon. But what we want to be doing is using the Eldritch or the Glacial Age here, which will give us a +1 to our attack rolls and an additional 1 to 4 cold damage. So we get extra cold damage with our elemental weapon. I guess I gotta put some stuff in camp here because we're over encumbered. So just give me a second there. But the nice thing about this build is we get that cold damage on there. So this deals our cold. And then as a bonus, you can go with the Snowburst ring here, which will do 4.5 meter circle of ice whenever we deal damage around the target. And then with that, you can also go with the Winter's Crutches. When your wearer deals cold damage, they inflict 2 turns of Encrusted with Frost. So our strategy would be to go with a Create Water. So it's a level 1 spell there from the cleric. And then we would go and blast with Cone of Cold. So that is some pretty big damage here you're going to see. So 70, 60, 73. Yeah, everyone. We already took out Will with 1 shot. We took out Halsin. Jaheira's almost down. Shadowheart's almost down. So this build does some serious damage. Yeah, I highly recommend going with both of those. We also get the Conjure Elemental, so we can bring in the Water Elemental. What's nice about the Water Elemental is they get... their main attack there will create a puddle of water around the target, so if we attack with them, they'll actually heal, or they'll actually double our damage. So that's the nice thing about that. As you can see, he's also chilled, so if we were to attack with our character here, we can also go with our, I guess, move and then do our Cone of Cold. And Mince is going to take extra damage. He does have armor that does block him. We got 1,000 experience there. And Jaheira's floating in the air as she dies. Oops. Sorry, Jaheira. But, yeah, what's nice about that is you can deal a ton of damage with this build because of the spells that we chose. So Cone of Cold being our main damage option after Create Water. You can also bind your pack weapon here, and then we can attack using Charisma, so we get that extra cold damage on that. And you can see that, oh, we knocked ourselves prone. If you're going to be getting into the fray, I would highly recommend going with the Disintegrating Nightwalkers. This gives you the Misty Step without being able to slip and fall on the ice, so that's huge because ice sucks. You can slip and fall super easily. We also have that Circle of Death spell that we can use once per short rest, or once per long rest. I'll short rest to get our spell slots back, but then you can just go blasting with things like Circle of Death there. It's going to hit in a huge area, and then we hit him, so that ended that. But yeah, the best part about this build is how much damage you can deal, and we can make people fall over like that really easily. And yeah, this build is very powerful. The Warlock isn't typically thought of as a cold damage dealer, but you can see we took out like multiple people with 1 attack, so it does a good amount of damage. And yeah, you can literally shut down people with knocking them prone on ice. So you can also counterspell them, although probably not best to counterspell because it does use up your spell slots. So you can use your illithid ones if you want. But yeah, the nice part about this build is just knocking everyone down. We don't have our action there, but yeah, this build goes really hard, so I just wanted to cover this because it's a fun build to use. Ice is one of my favorite elements in probably my favorite element in Baldur's Gate 3. Just so much fun to be able to create those icy floors and knock people around. So yeah, if you found this video useful, please hit that subscribe button below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.